Hey, good morning. Welcome to Hobby Evolution, episode 1172. Happy Friday. Crazy hair, don't care. Welcome as we approach the weekend. Free for all Friday. We'll play Name That Player. I've got a mix. We've got some modern baseball, some vintage baseball, some basketball, and non-sport. This piece of hair right there annoying the shit out of me. I think it's time for a haircut when it's crazy like that. Haircut time. Good morning. Happy Friday. Yesterday was a nice day in terms of shitty weather. It was rainy. It was cloudy. It was chilly. We had a couple nice sunny days in the 70s. Do yard work. Kind of like the rain. Because I don't feel guilty for being in the basement all day. Because when it's nice and sunny, it's like I shouldn't be wasting this beautiful day. Looks like it's going to be a nice day. Sun is out, not a cloud in the sky. Although my computer says it's only 48 degrees. That's cold. And here I am wearing short sleeves and shorts. I'm like, it's going to be warm today. What do we got going on? It's 51, heading toward a high of 73. So that's going to be a nice day. I'm going to have to mow again. I did have to raise the deck. And once I got to the backyard the other day, I did have to raise the deck. So I think tomorrow I'm going to, or maybe even this afternoon, I will do another mow. And once I mow, then I can put some more seed down on the side of the house. So I think maybe I'll mow today, and then Saturday I'll get more because I need more soil. I think I'm going to get another bird feeder for the back. So big weekend. If there's time, maybe a run to Bed Bath and Beyond. So busy weekend. So I shipped and I listed. Let's throw the banner up. 99centcards.com. Yesterday, so I shipped in the morning and did a lot of shipping in the morning. And then, so I sold something. And I talked about this the other day with eBay sales. And sometimes I'll have stuff listed for like 5 years that all of a sudden sell. So I had sold an item out of, I think it was a wrestling magazine, out of this bin that I have. It's a storage bin, and it's got mainly magazines that I have listed on eBay, mostly wrestling magazine, maybe a couple, sports magazines. So as I was looking for the particular magazine that I sold, I have so many vintage wrestling magazines, which, by the way, magazines are not like a good seller. Like, you list 100 and you'll sell a couple, and it's going to take months. That magazines are just not a good seller. But during COVID, I needed a hobby from my hobby. And one of my hobbies in the 90s, during my breaks with cards, when Cards and I broke up in 1995, I collected wrestling magazines, and I loved getting the old magazines, reading about wrestling from before I was watching. So I bought a whole bunch of wrestling magazines during COVID. And so I've got like a gigantic tub of old wrestling magazines. And I've got a few on eBay. Sometimes on a rainy day, I'll get a wrestling magazine out and read it. So I was going through this storage tub in which I thought everything in the tub was listed on eBay, but it may have gotten mixed up. I think there were some magazines I didn't have listed, but there's some from like the 60s that will sell eventually for, $30-$40. Some in the 70s sell for 20. So I ended up finding like a stack. I had to go into my eBay store and look up I looked up wrestling magazine, and there were like none in there because I don't have them termed as wrestling magazine. So I think that's an important term. That's why I put baseball card in my listings. Looking for what are you looking for? Baseball card. I'll have it in the title. So finally, I just did wrestling, sorted from most expensive because the magazines were going to be more than the cards that I have listed, and realized that there was a stack of them from the 60s and 70s that I didn't have listed in my eBay store. So I'm like, I'm going to get these listed. And then I also wanted to, I've got a bunch of, we did a refractor color box during a YouTube live sale. And I keep putting off the YouTube live sales. And I had contemplated yesterday, well, maybe I'll just put these up on my website, 1millioncubs.com. And then I thought, you know what? My audience is so much smaller. Although it does get good Google, there's good SEO on my website. So it does attract a lot of organic traffic. But eBay attracts a lot more. So I'm like, you know what? Instead of just, doing this on my website and having another vertical, I'm just going to list some of these boxes on eBay. And so I put together, I've got two like 4-row boxes of refractors. And I do have somebody that's interested in refractors, but it's only like 10 cents a card in a lot, which is a good price for like older commons or crappy prospects that didn't pan out. Good price. But I have a lot of first Bowman Chrome from the last couple years, guys that are still in the minor leagues that can pop. I've got rookie refractors. I've got from recent. I've got Albert Pujols, Aaron Judge, Vlad Jr., Bryce Harper, Juan Soto, like Acuna, superstars that I'm not going to sell for 10 cents or even a quarter. So I figured maybe I'll do a big lot, 1,000 of the refractors. And there's going to be a mix of, some of the crappier ones, but there's also going to be Juan Soto, Bryce Harper, Ronald Acuna, Aaron Judge, Mike Trout in this lot. So that lot is now live. I've got it posted for $400. That's 40 cents a card. Of course, best offers are open, and it is eligible under the 25% off 7 or more items. So you can buy this lot at $400 plus 6 99-cent cards, and you'll get 25% off that $400. So you can get that price point down even further. So that refractor lot, and I took pictures. I sorted out into 100s, and I found this to be the most efficient way because they're all sleeved. I wanted to make sure they were all sleeved. My YouTube live sale, they weren't all sleeved. But these are, and so they're on there, and I sorted them in piles of 100. So each 100, and I would set some of the better. I figured after the first like 100 or 200 that I sorted, it's like, I'm just kind of splaying these out, and the Mike Trouts and Aaron Judges might get hidden as I'm just kind of fanning them out to take photos. So I started pulling the Judge and Harper and some of the nicer ones. And sticking those on the top. So that lot is up. And so there should be 11 photos, 10 piles of 100 plus some of the better ones as the photo at the top. So that item is live. Check it out. 99centcards.com. Cheaper than 99 cents. Regular price, 40 cents. And wrestling magazines. I don't think we have a wrestling magazine audience here on Hobby Evolution. What else? So that's about all I did yesterday. I watched the Cubs game. Disappointing. Marks Mets won. I think we split the 4-game series in New York. Exciting game, went extras. It was a good series between the Cubs and Mets. We had the 1-0 game on Wednesday night. Yesterday was Thursday. Thursday afternoon, we had extra innings, went 11, I believe. And Cubs are back to the friendly confines at Wrigley Field this weekend. Is it the Brewers? Which sucks because I can't watch those games unless I pirate it. So So some good games. And that's about it. That's about it. Well, I got into Grey's Anatomy last night. I've been talking about, my wife's been just blowing through these episodes of Grey's Anatomy. And I'll watch, but last night I was actually like getting in. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm getting into the storylines. So a very uneventful Thursday around here. Let's go into the chat. Today's a free for all Friday. Any card shows this weekend? You guys going to any card shows? We've got, I know Oak Creek is tomorrow over in the Milwaukee area. No card shows for me. I'm holding out until next Saturday. Loves Park Indoor Sports Center just outside of Rockford. I'll be there with new quarter boxes, new dollar boxes. So come see me next Saturday. And don't forget the Madison Card Show, Saturday, May 25th at the Sheraton Hotel on John Nolan Drive. George is in the house. What's going on, George? Brian Wolf, what's happening? Good morning to you. Happy Friday. Is it May 4th? No, it's not. My least favorite day of the year, May 4th. Brian says, free comic book day tomorrow. Visit your local shop. That's something I never really got into comic books. I tried a couple times. Some of the comic I didn't, but I've never been into Superman, Spider-Man, Batman. I was into Batman, the movie in 1989, Michael Keaton. I did enjoy that. I collected the cards, but I'm not into, I don't know. And I don't even know what movies are Marvel. So is that Marvel? Is that what's popular with all these movies? Black Panther I saw. That might be it. That might be the only Marvel movie I've seen. I haven't seen any of the new Spider-Man movies. The Michael Keaton Batman may be the last Batman movie I've seen. And then the others, I couldn't even name other Marvel movies. X-Men, haven't seen any of those. So I was never into comic books. I bought a Beavis and Butthead comic book once. I bought what other comic books? I actually have some comic books that they were just given to me not given to me, but they were in a collection that I bought. And I've got a buddy who's a nerd for Marvel and comic books. And he's like, yeah, basically they're like the 91 Fleer of comic books. They have junk wax comic books. So he's like, yeah, you don't have anything here. And I'm like, all right. And you don't have anything here with your 91 Fleer. So we're even. So yeah, never got into comic books. Could probably count on one hand how many comic books I actually bought. Beavis and Butthead. Maybe just one. I thought there were a couple others that I had bought like around that time. Like in the 90s, I think I just have that collecting gene that I have to be collecting something. And I don't really know what took me away from cards, because I won't say baseball cards, because I actually quit collecting baseball cards before the strike. I stopped. I think 92 was the last time that I remember like really collecting baseball cards. And I think 92, I wasn't really in. I was already like full steam into basketball by 92. Like 91 was probably I probably only had like a 3-year run collecting baseball cards early in my childhood, 88 to 91. By 92, I was full on in basketball. I'd buy some I remember buying 92 Donruss baseball, but that's it. Maybe Topps. I don't know. I don't remember. But I was full on into basketball. And then by like 95, I was collecting basketball from 92 to 95. And by 95, I just was done with cards. And I got into wrestling magazines. That was my big thing. But I think there might have been some like in between time before I got really into collecting wrestling magazines, where I might have been collecting comic books and whatever else. I'm trying to think of what else before wrestling magazines was in that time frame. I don't think I was into music. Like I didn't have my first CD player until 1996. So I wasn't really into music. I wasn't hitting up Columbia House and BMG until 96, 97. Brian says, I'm sure there was a Cubs comic book. Calm down. Happy Friday, David. 4 new Star Wars trailers released tomorrow. Holy moly. Orlando's here. What's going on? Good morning. Brian says, today my Chrome Sapphire Star Wars comes in. Gonna rip it. I did get my notification, my shipping notification from Topps last night. They have created the label. I don't think it's not on a FedEx truck, which worries me. UPS is usually boom. FedEx, it's like, oh, dicey. Hopefully it's delivered ahead of time. Wednesday is release day for Bowman. I've got 3 hobby boxes that I ordered from Topps. I'm still in here's the classic do as I say, not as I do in terms of Bowman, because Bowman hobby is a gamble. It's a crapshoot. I may or may not make money flipping my Bowman hobby boxes. And when I mean flipping, I mean ripping and flipping. When it comes to retail, I guarantee you, I order 10 blaster boxes. If I get them on release or shortly after release, like a day after release, I'll make money. Not the case with hobby. It's up in the air. We'll see. I got 3 hobby boxes. Hopefully they come before Wednesday. We'll see. It'll be fun to track. Good morning, Shane. What's happening? Shane, I think I've got a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle card today in Name That Player. I do. Matty Ice, good morning. Philly Joe's here. Good morning to you. It's a free-for-all Friday. What's up, Peter? Good morning. Red Light 34 is in the house. He says hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. Visit my eBay store. George says, there's something about Mary Jism in the hair today. Oh, yeah. Every day I've got the jizz in my hair. That's what she said. That didn't sound right. Good morning, Cellar Dweller. That's me. Hanging out in the basement all day with my cards. Have you seen my baseball? There's something about Mary reference. Johnny Boy Cards. Good morning. Happy Friday. Kyle's in the house. Good morning. Brian is here. Good morning. 33 and a half years. And today I have my first pair of glasses. Nerds. I've been rocking glasses. I was, my first time that I had to get glasses was 6th grade. And, I was not comfortable in my own skin. Nobody is in 6th grade. So I did not wear them. I don't think I started regularly wearing glasses until I was in high school. Because then by that time my eyes really sucked and I couldn't read the chalkboard anymore. So when I was going through those old report cards, I'll just blame it on my eyes. Didn't wear my glasses. People ask, why don't you wear contacts? I can't touch my eyes. I cannot even put eye drops in my eye. Thankfully, they've changed the glaucoma test where the puff of air doesn't come into your eyeball anymore. I remember the first time that I was at the eye doctor and I didn't have that puff test. I'm like, okay, time for the glaucoma test. I'm like, oh, shit. And they're like, okay, do this. And I'm like, well, this is different. And they're like, okay, you're done. And I'm like, what? Where's the air? And they're like, oh, no, we don't do the air anymore. And I'm like, oh, thank God. Because I'd have to do it like 6 times because I'd always blink. It's like, I know it's coming. Don't blink. They'd have to give me like fake countdowns because I can't put eye drops in my eyes. And it's easy. It's really easy to tell people how to do it. It's like if you're afraid of snakes. Oh, don't be afraid. They're more afraid of you than they are them. That doesn't help. If I'm walking through the weeds and one's right there, I'm going to scream. I hate snakes. I love them from a distance. But when I'm walking and they're like slithering right over my foot, no. But it's easy to tell somebody, they're more afraid of you than you are of them. That doesn't work. My wife just tells me, well, here, do this. It's really easy. No, it's not really easy. No, it's not. There's something about Bo this morning with the jizz in his hair. Mark says, good morning. My first wrestling phase was in the late 70s through 1988. I bought everything. WWF, magazines, cards, figures, went to many shows. Still have the 85 Tops WWF set. Love that set. A great set. My phase was 95 to like 99, just a short phase, 95 to 99 when I was in high school. And I was just I went to a few shows. My first show was in April of 95. So Triple H's debut, WWF debut. I still have the ticket stub. It's on eBay for a ridiculous price because it's not for sale. That is a museum piece. But if somebody, I've got it for $1,000. If somebody comes in and buys it for $1,000, because I guarantee you, there's very few, because it was at the Mark of the Quad Cities. There was probably 5,000, maybe 7,000 in attendance. How many people were keeping a Mark of the Quad Cities WWF Superstars taping ticket stub? So it's very rare. So, but if somebody comes in and buys it for $1,000, I'll sell it, but not for much less. But mostly just magazines. I wasn't into anything else. What else did you buy? So I was buying magazines, and I would buy WWF magazine, WCW magazine, Inside Wrestling, Pro Wrestling Illustrated, Wrestling World, Wrestle America, like every magazine that was on the shelf. Go to the Book Emporium. They had like this giant wall of magazines. They had like 15 different wrestling magazines, and I'd buy as many as I could. I bought cards. Didn't buy as many cards though in that phase, in my 95 to 99, because there weren't too many. There was Action Packed, which I did buy, I guess. But Topps wasn't making wrestling cards in the 90s. Classic was very early 90s. There wasn't too many wrestling releases in the mid to late 90s, which would be really cool if there was, because I love all the gimmicks, the mid 90s gimmicks, like Duke the Dumpster Droese and the Portuguese Man-O-War, Aldo Montoya, and the Goon, Freddie Joe Floyd, Doink the Clown, T.L. Hopper. Some good gimmicks back then. Johnny M said he almost sent me an offer on the Refractor lot. It's on my eBay store. Brian says, can't believe those Refractors won't sell in a $1 box. Some of them will. Some of them would. Acuna, I'd probably move. Some of them will move in a $1 box. And that's why I lotted them up with, stuff I'd probably put in a $quarter box. I bet a lot of them will move for $1, but there you go. Hey, if you want to try it out, get them for 40 cents. James confesses to watching Grey's Anatomy. Mark's going to a card show this weekend, Jacksonville, Florida, 80 tables. Very nice. Red Light is doing the Indy Mini on Saturday. Good luck. I don't know if that's a race or a card show, though. Good luck either way. Brian says, I read and collected comics also. Sold my comics for Devil's Lettuce. A lot of lettuce. George says, I like comic-based movies and I like comic-style artwork. I just never read comics outside the one in the newspaper or collected them. I figure if they were more common in my podunk town, I would have collected them, but to get comics, you had to go to the city over an hour away, so no comics for me. So, and maybe that's, none of my friends were into comics. Maybe that's why I never really got into comics. I didn't have anybody to share that interest with. But I think it started with me. I just didn't have an interest to begin with some of the comics. Like I wasn't into the art. I wasn't into the stories really. When I bought, the only one I can remember buying was Beavis and Butthead. Ooh. And I bought that because I liked the show. But I didn't like Superman, Spider-Man, Batman. But 87 Tops was everywhere. No shortage of that beautiful set on the shelves of every business. East Coast Tom in the house. What's happening? Mark says, I've always collected something. Started with Star Trek and Planet of the Apes, then Star Wars and wrestling. Always bought cards. Translation, I have too much shit. Hey, I feel you. I feel you on that. George says, got a delivery from DHL today. It was a nicely crushed box so that it could fit into my mailbox. Of course, it took forever to get out of the mailbox. Kind of pissed me off. Yeah, that would piss me off. Shove it in the mailbox. Dan got glasses in 4th grade. Hated them. So happy I got contacts. Brian says the puff test is silly. And he's caught 3 snakes this year. I'm glad I haven't seen. I'm wondering if I'll see snakes this year. I've lived in Wisconsin for 10 years. And I have seen 1 snake. Actually, did I? No. I'm trying to think. Did I? No, that was not here. I've seen 1 snake. And that was at the first house my wife and I lived in, under a rock, and the snake was the size of a worm. Like it was not a worm, it was a snake, just super tiny snake. The only time I've ever seen a snake in Wisconsin. However, I feel like I need to knock on wood because I have water behind me and tall grass. And what do snakes love? Water and tall grass. And where do I go watch the water? Next to the water and tall grass. I feel like maybe I should just stay out of there. But until if I see a snake, if I go walk down to the water and if I see a snake, I'll never go back. Like, nope, snakes are down there. I'm out. I'm done. Maddie says, found out I needed glasses when I was 16 and failed the eye test when getting my driver's license. So I actually had I think this is where we were at. This is how we were in the 90s. Like safety, we didn't care about safety in the 90s, 80s, 70s. I had glasses, but did not wear them. And I can't remember if I was wearing them to my driver's test or not. But when I was getting my driver's license at 16, at the DMV, they asked me, do you need glasses to see? And I'm like, no, because I'm not blind without glasses. I can see. I can take these off, and yeah, I can see. I just can't reach. Like squinting. And they're like, because we have to mark, and I think there's like a mark on your driver's license that's like must have to wear glasses. Like, well, we don't have to put that on your driver's license. And I'm like, okay. And they're like, unless like you really can't see without. I'm like, well, I'll just put it on there. And like, no, they were like trying to talk me out of putting the requires glasses like thing on my driver's license. And eventually I'm like, yeah, just put it on there. Yeah, just put it on there. Which I don't like. Does it really matter? Like if you get pulled over for speeding, is the cop looking at your driver's license and going, oh, this says you're required to see that you're required to drive with glasses. And I notice you're not wearing glasses, but it's like, well, I'm wearing contact. Like you could just say I'm wearing contacts. Is he going to say, well, take a contact out so I can see? Like weird, right? Dan says, had Chris Sabo rec specs for a couple of years. Didn't like those either. Looked like a goofball. Brian says, dang, I bet that was wild. Brian says, got glasses in 6th grade. Also got laser surgery at 26. Can't do that either. I'm not going to do that. Lasted 20 years. Now eyes getting worse by the day. My kids like look at the crease and I'm like, stop lying. Then I use a magnifying glass. Yikes. Maddie was mad. Brian says, get a pair of cheaters. That you're old when you use the word cheaters for glasses. Get you a pair of cheaters. George, where's my cheater? Ethel. Where's my cheaters? Coworker taught me a trick to putting drops in my eyes back in the day. Turned my head to the side over my shoulder. Drop the eye drop across my eye from the side where I don't actually see it. TD Sports Cards in the house. Good morning. Jamie's here. 7th grade. I was minus 2.75 and now 43 years old in its minus 0.75 without LASIX. Over the years, they corrected by not wearing them. That's interesting. Dan wants to know, did you send in that Triple H debut ticket stub? I have not. Do I need to drag you by the ear? Apparently. You know, maybe I'll sub it when I sub my, because I do want to sub my 1-of-1 Superfractor. So maybe I can do wham bam, thank you, ma'am, and sub them both at the same time. I had planned on doing that at the National, but now I probably won't go to the National. So I don't know. Jamie says, I just had a physical tell me I got 20/20 vision. I'm not 20/20. Victor, good morning. Happy weekend. Tom says, loved the gimmick battle royal at the older WrestleMania events. Yeah, one of the good ones, I think it was WrestleMania 17. And they had like a lot of the older gimmicks. Brian says, people just started messaging me on social about cards on eBay. Does anyone do deals like that? Feels like I'm doing something shady. So eBay doesn't like it. I don't do it. And the main reason I don't do it is because I have so many items to ship through eBay that when I do deals off eBay, it's like I'll get to it and I'm like humming along doing on eBay and I forget because everything in front of me on eBay, like I know what I need to ship. When I have something over here and over here, I just forget about it. So that's why I don't do it. And everybody's different. Some people are not as, ADD like me. Just don't do it. I also do not typically respond to eBay messages. Like, even if it's not about doing a deal, if it's about, hey, tell me how you do this. And it's like, you can find, like, I'm 1 million Cubs on eBay. Just type in 1 million Cubs on fucking Google and you'll find me. You can find a way to contact me. I'm pretty easy to reach. Now, I don't respond in a timely fashion a lot of times, but I am easy to reach. And eBay is not the method to reach me unless it's about an eBay deal. I did have somebody who found a whole bunch of cards in my eBay store, wants to do a bulk deal. Absolutely, we'll do a bulk deal through eBay. We just got to figure out, okay, what are you looking at? Is this going to be a deal where, if it's going to be, if they want 200 cards but they only want to pay 10 cents per card, okay, we're not going to do this deal because it's going to take me way longer just to remove the items and create a new listing for the cards. Don't want to do that. So we'll see. I wouldn't say it's shady, but if eBay catches wind of you doing deals off eBay, if they message you on social media about eBay, you can just take it down off eBay and do it on social media. But if somebody reaches out to you on eBay and says, hey, hit me up on Insta, eBay will see that and they will suspend you. So if it comes across through social media, nothing shady about that. You can do it. It's just up to you if you want to do it. I don't do it just because I can't keep track of shit. That's the reason I don't do it. And it's worth, saving the fees. And what's funny is somebody will reach out to me on like Twitter and be like, you've got this $10 card on eBay. Will you do it for $7 off eBay? And it's like, to save you on fees. It's like, wait, that's not saving. That's actually not doing me a favor. That's the opposite of doing me a favor because I'm getting paid less than what I would through eBay. And I have to take it down from eBay. I have to track it separately. That's not doing me any favors. So I just don't do it. Many people do. I Oh, it's a race. Red Light 34 says 13.1 miles. So are you like running? That's a long way to run. Dan wants to know, to George, does your POE let you have Children's Day off Monday? And I thought we had weird holidays in the States. Jamie says, if you like gimmicks, I've got at least 30 plus packs of the Pokemon Oreos. I like wrestling gimmicks, not Pokemon gimmicks. Jason's Card Shop in the house. Tomorrow is Free Comic Day and Star Wars Day. I will not be participating in either. Matty Ice says, red light, I didn't see that before. Good luck. I'm training for the IT 100. Whew. 50, 75, or 100-mile race in October at Chano Lake State Park in Albion, Indiana. Doing the 50-miler. Oh, my God. I get tired driving 50 miles. Brian says, to Jamie, that's going to pay off. Always been a collector too, says Peter. Tried comic books, never got too much into them. Baseball cards and books. Bradley says, go Brewers, go Cubs. Max says, never understood the allure comics or action figures. I was either reading or building with Legos at that age. I'm not creative nor smoked, so those probably go hand in hand. I'm not creative nor smoked. I don't know what smoked means. Like, I was never into comics. I was into action figures for a little bit. I think I was into action figures like when I was really little. Like I had G.I. Joe, He-Man. Those were the action figures that I had. Like, but I was like a little kid in the 80s. I had action figures. I was not reading as a child. Not reading. I did like Legos. George says, being an official holiday. I think my biggest, though, was Hot Wheels. I loved cars. George says, being an official holiday, they have to give it off. Labor Day being a holiday at the employer's discretion based on labor law is the reason they can deny giving it to us. Max says, I've lived here for nearly 34, outside of 6 months in St. Louis, never again, and have only seen 2 to 3 alive. Wow. So I chose, even though I didn't want to move to Wisconsin when I moved here, now I'm happy because there's no snakes here, or very few. Mark says, wasn't the Goon the hockey player? Yes, he was. Who was Bill Irwin played the Goon, or was the Goon in the WWF for a short period of time. He was a hockey player. There was a baseball, Abe Knuckleball Schwartz. I don't think they had a basketball player. I don't think they had a football. They had hockey and baseball. Kyle says, if you need snakes by your place, stop by and maybe we can trade snakes for NASCAR cards. How about no? Jamie says, I was employed there at the time, paid under $350 a piece. In fact, I might have closer to $45 still. Terry McDaniel, good morning. Mr. Archer's in the house. Jamie says, we stopped looking for shit like snakes when we got older and smarter. Yeah, I never looked for snakes. I had my best friend growing up in like grade school, junior high. His parents were caretakers at a lake just outside of town. And we had a lot of snakes back home. And I remember there was this like houseboat. And now picture like, when you think of a houseboat, picture of like the nastiest, oldest, crappiest shack. And that was what this houseboat was. And it was, I think it was nice at one time in like 1972. But in 1994, it was, or even might have been 91 or 92. But I remember it was like barely safe to walk on. And there were these giant water snakes. And my friend Luke had an older brother, Dirk, and Dirk would go on the houseboat and like catch these giant water snakes. I was scared to death. These things were fucking huge. Big old water snakes. Brian says, I had contacts before they were disposable. Lost one, so would wear one in an eye till it got infected, then change it to the other eye. That worked for 5 years. That doesn't sound very healthy. Flawed Thinker, good morning. Cooter's here, good morning. Why would you worry about snakes? You don't have venomous species in your part of the state. Because I don't like them. They're scary. It's not the venomous that I don't like. It's just the creepiness. I don't know. Spiders don't bother me. Snakes do. And there's probably more venomous spiders. There's only like 2 venomous spiders, right? At least in like the Midwest. We had brown recluse and black widows. We actually had a brown recluse outbreak in our radio station. Our radio station was in this really old building. And ironically, I had like a week, and I was probably the reason we had such an infestation, or that they were getting into the office part of so we had our radio station was downtown, this really old building, downtown Macomb. And we had gone up into the attic for whatever reason. There were a few, and I've shared the story, the ghost story. I've shared what else? There were actually, I think, 2 ghost stories. But we were going up there for some reason. And the building had formerly been the building for the newspaper, the local, the Macomb Journal at the time. And I think they had moved out in like the 80s. So there were a bunch of like, back in the day, newspapers would be in these like binders by like month. And so it's like April 1982, and it's all the newspapers in like this binded form. And there were just like hundreds of these. And so I went up there and I'm like, oh, these are cool because I love newspapers. So I'm up there and I'm bringing binders down, looking at old years. And there were 2, like, they weren't they looked like dumpsters, but I think they were just record shelves, like where you stored vinyl. And so, back, because the radio station had been in this building since the 60s. So of course back then there were vinyl that you played, and then it became CDs and then digital. So I was up there for like a week digging through the newspapers, digging through vinyl. I made a killing, by the way, selling vinyl, because it wasn't like music. I wasn't making a killing selling music. I was making a killing selling old commercials, Disney, Coca-Cola. There were vinyl with like PSAs with like sports from like Mickey Mantle and, back in the day. I made a killing. Car commercials, like AMC, General Motors. Made a lot of money selling those old vinyl commercials. But like a week later, I think I don't know if I was out of town or what I was doing, but my boss called and says, don't come into work. We had to fumigate. And I'm like, oh, what happened? Like, we have a brown recluse infestation. And I'm like, what? Apparently, the brown recluse that were hanging out in the attic may have been stirred up by my digging and scattered into the radio station. So we had a brown recluse infestation. Brian Wolf says, was waiting till you explained what cheaters were. LOL. Costco 3-pack. Need to get stronger cheaters now. There you go. Get some cheaters, Brian. Jamie says, remember how stiff the original contacts were to now? I'd hate to have to learn to put the new ones in with how flimsy they are. Brian's in the house. What's going on? Let's see. A little racing talk between Red Light 34 and Matty Ice. He's having trouble running the crane. Be careful. Johnny M says, made good money selling comics in the late 80s, selling at shows. Every once in a while, I'll have people ask about, do people sell comics at the Madison Card Show? And I'm like, no, and probably wouldn't sell. I don't know. I don't know the comic book market. I assume there's not much of one. Rich says we're terrible on like percent. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. I'm glad Bo is okay. Every time I turn around, Madison is in the news. The funny thing is And I had somebody else, I saw somebody from Madison on Twitter made a tweet last night or yesterday about everybody's talking about Madison and I have no idea what's going on. That's me also. I'm glad I'm not the only one that has no idea what's going on. There's protests downtown. Michael Rappaport was supposed to be performing, I think, last night at the comedy club and canceled. Because of the protests. And it's like, it's not really unsafe, but I think he's pretty outspoken about some of this stuff. So he probably felt unsafe. We had an active shooter in the town just down the road, Mount Horeb, the troll capital. Unfortunate, like a 14-year-old took a gun to school and he was killed by officers. So Madison, unfortunately, in the news for not good things. G.I. Joes equal BB gun targets. There you go. Max says, what was Madison in the news for recently? Brian says, I don't look for snakes. To be clear, they show up in my yard, so I catch to show the kids. Aha! I'd move. Ain't no snakes coming in my yard. Good morning, Jody. Dan wants to know what's in Cooter's avatar image. Where's Cooter at? Oh, yeah. I don't know. I'm pretty sure Cooter's mentioned that before, but I can't remember. Flawed Thinker says, I know this has nothing to do with the chat. That's what the chat's all about. But I can't stand people that stand in the middle of escalators so nobody can get by, and people that have fantasy teams but don't actually play. I feel you on the second one, because that can fuck the league up. The first one, I don't take many escalators, so I don't have a gripe with escalators. That kid is back on the escalator. But fantasy teams for it, and that's why I have one league I'm in. It's super competitive. No worries about people taking a week off. That's why I don't like to join. That's why I don't want to do a Hobby Evolution fantasy baseball, because it's just baseball, especially fantasy baseball, because it's such a long season. Uncle Rich answers Max. We had the protests downtown, which is not uncommon in Madison, and the shooting in Mount Horeb. On a happier topic, did you see the Cubs move? Did you all see this Cubs move? Oh, yes. And so here, yeah. So Pete Crow Armstrong slides in to second base, takes his helmet off, and uses his helmet to extend himself so he stays, quote, on base. However, I believe he should have been out. I do not believe you can take your helmet off to extend your body. However, if it's part of your helmet is part of your, I think the way it's, I haven't read the actual rule, but how I interpret the rules is that any piece of your equipment is a part of your body if used how it's supposed to be used. For example, if you slide in head first and your helmet touches the base and your helmet stays on the base, you are safe. But if you take your helmet off and use it for a different reason, it's no longer part of your body. So Pete Crow Armstrong should have been out with that play. That's how I interpret the rules. But I haven't read in depth. Uncle Rich says there is no formal rule. So I guess it is up for interpretation then. But it was fun. Lenny Randall and blowing the foul ball. Johnny M sent out 115% offers last night and made 11 sales of it so far. I do it once a week. There you go. And John, aren't you the one that doesn't accept offers? So if that works, why don't you just accept offers on your listings? Low Roller Scratcher missed the early part of the episode because I had them. They're not from a Goodwill pallet, but they were just in a storage tub. Catchers can't use the mask to get the ball, so naturally, helmet can't be used to stay on bag unless on head. Legal at the time, no longer legal. MTV Sports, agree with that interpretation. It's Friday. I had a new frozen pizza last night. I've got a little indigestion this morning. Village Pub, which is kind of a local Wisconsin frozen pizza. Delicious. You can tell how delicious a frozen pizza is by the indigestion you get in the morning. It's very good. I enjoy the thin crust. Normally, I'm not a thin crust guy, but I like thin crust when there's just a whole bunch of toppings on it. Oh, that's good. That's good. Tavern style pizza. Where are we at? Bradley says MLB needs to eliminate the oven mitt. Aaron Judge blocked the ball on a relay throw to avoid a double play. Max says, I think you missed one. What did I miss? Shane says, saw that helmet play. If you can throw your glove with a stuck ball in it to throw someone out, then you should be able to use the helmet to be safe. I don't know if I agree with that. Because the ball, you need to have the ball. So say you're in right field, you make the catch, runners at first, and he advanced thinking it was going to be a base hit, but the ball is caught. So there's now a force out at first. So the right fielder catches the ball and he's fumbling. So he just tosses the glove and the ball to the first baseman for the force out. It's the ball. It doesn't matter if the glove's with it. The glove has nothing to do with it. It's the ball that makes the out. So I'm going to disagree with Shane. My avatar is 15-year-old me in the left and my late older brother on the right. Oh, that's cool. He is wearing Ron Hunt's game-worn Giants jersey from the 1968 season, which I still have. That's cool. Very cool. Dan says you have indigestion. Actually, I haven't had indigestion in a long... I was thinking the other night I ate something... when we did burgers, I had potato salad and French fries with my burger. And I'm like, oh man, this is too much potato. I'm going to have indigestion. And I didn't. And I haven't had indigestion. I eat frozen pizza at least once a week. And it normally doesn't give me indigestion. I think maybe this week I had a little too much pizza and potatoes. And that's the last 2 nights. And I think that's what's giving me the indigestion this morning. Need to go do some yard work and burn it off. But I haven't had indigestion in a long time. Where are we at? Low roller bought more Bitcoin. Johnny M says no offers on under $3 cards. Tired of dealing with dollar offers. I just ignore them. But when I get like 100 of them for, I'm like, yeah, I love them. Because I'd be happy to sell them for $1 each in volume. Max says, Shane, the ball is still being possessed in that scenario. Yes, correct. Let's see. Mike Petty says, so lucky to have the memory and the jersey. My aunt was friends with McCovey and had 2 game-worn jerseys from the same time period. By the time I got them, so did the Moths. Oh, bummer. Bubblegum Hall of Fame in the house. Do you like to party? Let's see. Dan says, I swear every morning you are on hold. Some burbs. Oh, burps. Oh, yeah. I'm very gassy, but I don't have indigestion. I do this morning. But it's I've always been gassy. Like I've always had I've had to hold burps in or just burp. I think it's because I'll take a drink and then talk. Very gassy. Cooter says equipment helmet is part of the body and the rules, just like the 2-foot sliding glove they have now. Orlando says cool story. Mike. Flawed Thinker says if a ball is thrown to a first baseman and he doesn't catch it, but rather it goes through the buttons on his jersey, so the ball is in his shirt, Would it count as an out? Not sure about possession. See, now that I don't know. I don't know what the rules are on possession, like in what's a catch in football in the NFL. Matt says a reporter from SNY checked with MLB after the game, and they said that even though there's no specific rule against the helmet play, he should have been called out. Well, now I'm curious. I'm curious if there's no specific rule, why would he have been called out? On what rule? That would be my follow-up question. So if the reporter says, would he be out? And MLB says, well, there's no specific rule, but he should have been out. Why should he have been out? Under what rule? Now I'm curious. Mike's going to play some pickleball. Matt says, and that it would have gone to replay review. He would have been called out. That's interesting. And I'm curious on what standard is Matt going to follow? Maybe Matt knows. Shane says, I still think you should be able to take your helmet off and extend even if sliding. Matt says, and it sounds like they're going to specifically add it to the rule book in the off season. I would not be surprised based on not touching the base with his hand or body. Max says to Shane, unfortunately, I don't believe he should be able to take any non-normal way to stay on base. Helmet should not be an extension of the player. I agree with that, because then we're getting into muddy waters. And that's kind of what I'm at. Like if it would have went to review and they would have called him out, under what, like, is there another interpretation of the rule? There may not be a specific rule based on that, but maybe there's precedence. I don't know. Now I'm curious. Happy Friday. It's free for all Friday. We're going to play Name That Player. We got some vintage baseball. We've got some basketball. We've got some non-sports. We even got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for Shane. That dude from Duryea says, if a ball hits a jersey, it is a hit by a pitch. Right. I think what Max means is, I think what Max means in this rule is in the field of play, not at bat. Max says you can't just call him safe either if there's no rule. Bob Hosta, if you can't catch the ball in your hat, you shouldn't be allowed to touch the base with your helmet. Uniforms are regulated. They can't be overly baggy. MTV Sports Collector says, so can a runner run to first base and slide headfirst with the bat in his hand and use the bat as an extension? No, I don't think so. And see, that's where there's muddy waters. If you allow that, then you can allow the bat. Like, well, you let the helmet. Now I've got the bat. Matt says that's the NBC Sports Chicago story above where I got that MLB info. David says, I believe the rule is if the equipment is worn in its intended use, it is part of the player. Yeah, and that's kind of the interpretation I get, where if he slid head first and the helmet was the only thing touching the bag, he's safe because the helmet is part of his body. But once he takes the helmet off and uses it for a different reason, it's no longer a part of the player. So if Juan Pierre comes up with a 5XL jersey, he would be asked to change. Shane says, I mean, why not? The bat is a pretty big threat to the first baseman. He may get out of the way. All right. So let's play Name That Player. And let's take this pause for station identification. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Visit my eBay store, 99centcards.com. Link in the description. We are about to play Name That Player. Brian says, man, that's like cricket using the bat. Let's get the scoreboard up. Max has a big lead with 35 points. Card Hobbyist made a nice run. He's at 23. Flipping Sports Guy, 22. Dan has 12. Joe Trotto also with 12. And Matt Like in double digits with 10. There's the rest of your scores. We're going to start out with a little vintage baseball. Ooh, this is going to be tough. All right, I think I know what I can do. Let's get our Post-it note. We've got two names on this one, so We're going to do that. We're going to do this. All right. Name that player. Orioles. Little vintage action to start name that player this morning. Louis Aparicio is correct. Who was first? Dat dude from Duryea. What's that? 1967 Topps. Luis Aparicio. All right. Dat dude from Duryea. I better put my YouTube up just so we can confirm we don't want any drama. Name that player. It showed first on my screen. All right. View free for all. I'm going to take this moment to like the video. 21 likes. All right. Where's my live chat? Here we go. All right. Aparicio, that dude from Duryea, confirmed. And how many points do you have? You're up to 3 points. So you leapfrog a few. There we go. All right. No, where's it at? All right. Next up, we're going basketball. And this is what I like about Name the Player and doing different, mixing it up, because Uncle Rich says Hall of Famers are not that tough. Shane says I couldn't even give you the year of the card. He begs to differ. Now, when Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comes up, Uncle Rich is going to be like, who? And Shane's going to be like, this is too easy. See? All right. This one may stump you. Actually, it's not going to stump you, but I think we'll have some incorrect answers because at first glance, I would name the wrong player. Orlando Magic. Who you got for the Orlando Magic? Let's see. I see a couple wrong answers. I see a couple right answers. I do see the one answer, and surprisingly, there's only a couple answers. I would have guessed Anthony Penny Hardaway. This is not Penny Hardaway. But it's not Horace Grant either. Max, I believe, got it first. It is T-Mac. Tracy McGrady. Yes, Tracy McGrady, Max with the point. I would have guessed Penny Hardaway. Let's see. So we've got Max extending that first place lead. He's at 36. All right. Next up, we're going non-sport. Where's Dan? Korean Cardboard. Dan, who you got on this one? This is music. You may have known from the microphone in front of this guy. All right. I need first name. First name and last name. Last name will not get you the correct answer. You need first and last name. Now I'm conflicted here. I think I'm going to give the point to Spam Likely for only. Usually I don't allow first names, but since the last name was typed in, because there were two Wahlbergs. Only one was in the band. Donnie. This is Donnie Wahlberg. We're going to give it to Spam Likely. It is Wahlberg. Donnie Wahlberg. Spam Likely with the point. I should have been more clear, but bug it. All right. Spam Likely, you've got 2 points. We missed you last week. All right. Spam Likely moves up a few spots. All right. And there we go. All right. We're going baseball next. Modern baseball. Matt's going to finish under protest. Matt and Max are going to protest. Who would have? So if I would have accepted Wahlberg, it looks like Max would have been the first. Yep. Max has enough points. He doesn't need another one. All right. Next. Okay. I gave the point. So now we're going baseball. Modern baseball. Where was Dan at on that one? Oh, Dan got okay. Dan did answer it, just not fast enough. Okay, I will accept last name only. There's also another brother, but we will accept last name on this one. We'll give it to Max. Parker Meadows. His brother is Austin Meadows. Parker Meadows is correct. So Max with the point. And he's up to 37. All right. Next one. Next one is basketball. Last name. Give me last name. If you give me the first name, it's got to be spelled correctly. Go a little lower. That dude said I was a little too high on the screen. Basketball. Ooh, the junk wax era. Last name on this one. Or if you give me the first name, it's got to be spelled correctly. And Max did not spell the first name correctly. Mirasan is correct. George Mirasan. But he may have. Oh, Matt. So there's an extra H. I'm not giving it to Max because there's another H. It's Gheorghe. Mirasan. George Mirasan. Matt with the point. Rich says he'd give it to Max, but Rich, you are not in charge. Matt Like gets the point. Because I did spell out specifically, you had to spell the first name. If you did the first name, you have to spell it correctly. Did I not state that, Rich? Did I not state that? You have to spell correctly the first name. You could answer the first name, but you did have to spell it correctly. Max did not spell it correctly. Therefore, Mirasan, which is spelled correctly. Normally, we don't spell correctly unless I state. If it's close enough, I understand there's typos. Matt Like with the point. He's at 11. All right. All right. Next up. George Mirasan. Uh-oh. 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 Uncle Rich. Unicorn Cupcake. Oh, no. Uncle Rich. Matt Like is going to withdraw the protest. Unicorn Cupcake wants to know what kind of kangaroo contest is this? All right, next up. Okay. So we don't have any drama. All right. This next one is non-sport. The character, I will not accept either of the character names. I only will accept the actor's name, last name. It doesn't have to be spelled correctly. Only the last name. You cannot do a first name on this one. Only last name. I like George's. I think we're going to do this. We're going to make disclaimers before every card now. All right. No character name. No first name. Only last name. And we will not take off for spelling. Okay? Here we go. All right. Christopher Reeve. Is it Reeve or Reeves? I would have, and that's what, because I couldn't remember. I don't think it's on the back of this card. It's from Superman 2. So I would not have accepted Superman or Clark Kent. Reeves. Is it Reeve or Reeves? And that's what, see, I didn't know, so I didn't want to take off for spelling. Be like, no, it's Reeve, not Reeves. It's Reeves, not Reeve. All right. So Matt with another point. I think, let me confirm here. Matt, make sure. Matt was first. Okay. Matt with another point. And he ties Joe and Dan with 12. Dan's internet's slower today than it was a couple weeks ago. So it is Christopher Reeve. It's not Reeves, but all right, next one. Again, last name only. No first name. You can type out the first name, but you have to have the last name to get the point. Spelling does not have to be completely correct. Just has to be pretty damn close. Iowa State basketball, Matt's favorite team. Matt's from Iowa. He's a big Cyclone fan. Hoiberg is correct. I knew Matt would come through with his favorite team. Fred Hoiberg. Matt with the only one to get it. Suns guy, Chambers, Piatkowski. All right, Matt with another point. So he leapfrogs Dan and Joe with 13. Oops. Righty. Next up, we're doing baseball. All right, this one I will take first name also. First or last name accepted. Matt got indigestion from that answer. All right, first or last name accepted on this one. First or last name. Who is it from Venezuela? I'll take Salvi. We'll accept it. Salvador Perez. Salvi will accept it. Max with the point. Max with 38. All right. Next up, I don't have to cover this one up. I will accept last name only or full name. Let's see. Last name on this non-sport from the New Kids on the Block. Who is it? I think they were probably more known from their first names as opposed to their last names, but we're going to take last name only. Knight is correct. Matt with the point. Jordan Knight. I'm sorry, Unicorn Cupcake. First names, no point. Jordan Knight. Matt with 14. All right. Next up, back to vintage baseball. Back to vintage baseball. Oh, Matt, but he's got jokes. Matt's got jokes. You got the right stuff, baby. All right, vintage baseball. Not a Hall of Famer. Not a Hall of Famer. Lonborg, not correct. Denny McLain, not correct. Al Kaline, not correct. Lawson, not correct. Mathers, not correct. McLean, not correct. Policy, not correct. Oh, the policy on this card, last name. First name not accepted, last name only. Let's see. Max says I saw Red Sox first. Hudson, not correct. Detroit Tigers pitcher. Not Trammell. This is 1968, long before Trammell. Not pretty. There's actually been 2 Major League Baseball players with this name. You got it. That dude from Duryea. It is Mike Marshall. Mike Marshall. Let's see. That dude from Duryea with the correct answer. And that is, where you at? Where you at? Where you at? That dude from Duryea. 4 points. So you move ahead. Couple points today for you. And you have now leapfrogged Huddle Card, Tom Gibson, and Brian. All righty. That dude from Duryea. Make sure. Okay. Make sure I got that. Okay. Here we go. All right. We're down to, I think, 3 left. All right, one of these, I'm going to take a pause for a brief second because there's going to be another tricky one coming up. And I need to make sure I have, because there's the last card is a possibility of 2 points, but I need to know the names of the people on the card. Who is it? Who is it? Who is it? Okay. All right. All right. So that's coming up. That's the last card. Oh wait. Do we have some drama? Oh, we've got people saying Rich had it. Oh. Did I miss it? All right. I've got Uncle Rich saying he'll be here all week. Try the Beal, Lonborg, McLean. Oh, Marshall. I did miss it. I did miss it. How the hell did I miss that? I think it must have came. Oh, yeah. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9 came in. Okay. So that dude from Duryea, we've got to delete your point. And you are back to 3. And Uncle Rich, you are at 8. Oh, and I didn't have to move anybody around. That worked out. Okay. So there we go. So Uncle Rich with the point. And Uncle Rich now has 8 points. That dude from Duryea is back down to 3 points. All right. Glad I took that pause. I missed it twice. Did I miss? Oh, Marshall again. How did I miss those? That is weird. Now I see it. In real time, I did not see it. Dan says, stop. All right, we've got 3 more cards left. 3 more cards left. All right, here's Shane. Oh, I do have to cover this one up. This is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I need the turtle name. Basically a multiple choice if you know all 4 Ninja Turtles names. Full name. All right. There's a bunch. I'm going to go to Go to YouTube. I'm gonna read off because I do see some correct answers. Okay, so I'm gonna go to YouTube. I have Uncle Rich with Michelangelo first. Confirmed on both sides. Uncle Rich, Michelangelo. Hungry Mike. Brian was second, but I would not have accepted Mike. Even though it does say Hungry Mike on the card, I don't think we really know him as Mike. Michelangelo. Maybe you do. I don't know. It's been a while since I've seen them, but Michelangelo. We don't have to worry about it because Uncle Rich was first with Michelangelo, and he now moves up into a tie with Harlan, 9 points. All right, we're down to 2 cards to go. I would not have accepted those. Brian says Mike should have counted, rant over. But you weren't first. You wouldn't have got the point anyway. Uncle Rich was first. Let's see. Okay. Next up, baseball. Even if I would have accepted Mike, you would have not gotten the point. All right. Last name only. Let's see. It's not O'Neill. It is not Arias. It is not Baez. It is not Hernandez. It is not Gomez. Let me check YouTube because these are coming in fast. Don't want to miss anybody. O'Neill, Arias, Baez, Hernandez, Gomez, Meneses. Duran is correct. We got a Duran answer. Jaron Duran. Flawed thinker. Flawed thinker. Jaron Duran. All right. Flawed thinker's first point today. And where are you at on the scoreboard? Flawed thinker. 6 points. And you have tied Porter and jumped Scotty Dubs. Where's Scotty Dubs today? Last Friday, he was hanging out helping me sort cards. And there we go. Merle. Where's Merle at today? He's not here. All right. Next up. All right. This is going to be, all right. We're going to have to explain this one thoroughly. Last card. This is a non-sport card. There are 3 points possible. I will accept the character name from this particular movie. So character name or actor/actress name. Now I'm looking here on for character, I will take first names. I will accept first names for the characters. I will not accept first name for the actor or actress. Okay, so it's either last name if you name the actress or actor, or it's the first name if you name the character from this movie. Understood? Are we all? Do we all know? Too many rules, says Brian. So first name character, last name actor. Here we go. Are you ready? Here's the card. First name character from this movie or the last name of their real name. Get a good look. All right, so it looks like we've got some Barrymore. So Drew Barrymore is correct. SoCal guy gets the point there. Elliot, I believe, is correct. And D. Wallace. So I think we have all points accounted for. Let me just confirm. Elliot is correct. D. Wallace is correct, the mom. Okay, so we've got points for everybody. So this card is from E.T., and it features Henry Thomas as Elliot and D. Wallace as Mary and Drew Barrymore as Gertie. Gertie, what a fun name. All right, so points awarded to SoCal 67, Drew Barrymore, correct. So SoCal guy, let's give his point. SoCal guy, he's up to 3 points. And so he moves up the board. All right, SoCal guy. All right, so I'm going to save that. We'll just flash that on the screen as I get the second point. Elliot, the character name, correct. Max gets the point for Elliot. And he's up to 39. And D. Wallace, that dude from Duryea. D. Wallace was correct. So that dude, he got his point back that he lost from my oversight earlier. So he moves back up to 4 points. All right, so that's where the scoreboard stands. Max, 39 points. Card Hobbyist, 23. Flipping Sports Guy, 22. Matt Like with a few points today. He's up to 14. Dan has 12 with Joe Trotto. Harlan and Rich now have 9 each. Porter and the Flawed Thinker with 6 apiece. Merle and Scotty Dubs with 5. John, that 70s Card Show, has 4. So does that dude from Duryea. A couple points for him today. SoCal Guy 1967 moved up to 3 with Brian and Huddle Card and Tom Gibson. And there's where we round out the list with our 1s and 2s. Spam Likely moved up to 2 points with a point today. All right. That was fun. Let's see. So hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel. Visit my eBay store, 99centcards.com. We will go live Saturday and Sunday here for Hobby Evolution. I don't know what time. Sometimes when I say 8:30 or 9, I'm on at 7. Sometimes it's 9:30, so I don't know. Sometime tomorrow morning we'll be live. I think, is Hobby Hotline going to be on? I was promoting it last week and there was no show. Or wait, was I promoting it last week? Or was I gone last weekend? I can't remember. There was no Hobby Hotline. What the hell? So I don't know. There might be a Hobby Hotline tomorrow morning. There might not be. Rich says yes, there is, but we don't know. We thought there was last week. All righty. So hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, visit my eBay store, 99centcards.com. We'll be live tomorrow morning. Next Saturday is the card show, premier card shows in Loves Park, Illinois, Indoor Sports Center. I'll be there with new quarter boxes and dollar boxes, so see me there next Saturday. So next weekend, this weekend we got shows both days. Next weekend, neither day of the weekend, because I'll be heading back to see my mom for Mother's Day after the show. So I'll take the whole weekend off for Hobby Evolution next weekend. All righty. Have a great weekend. Let's see some of the chat before we go. Philly Joe says, that was fun, though I'm a moron. Thanks and have a good weekend. Hey, you too. Matt says, Max gets his shipment of bows. Name that player cards a few days early, like the Breakers who got Heritage several days before release. Yeah, I did not. Hopefully I get Bowman before release. I did get a shipping notification from Topps that Bowman is on its way. All righty. So have a great weekend. Hopefully we'll see you back here tomorrow morning for Hobby Evolution. Like, subscribe. See you tomorrow.